Hey everyone, haven't done a video in a bit, so I thought I would do one today. It's a Sunday, a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Japan, or in Tokyo. Oh, I'm sleepy. I just got done eating lunch out, a good lunch, and stopped back by on the way and grabbed me a beer, which is what I guess I kind of wanted to talk about in Japan. Figured, it's Sunday afternoon, it's nice out. It's cold, but whatever, as you can see. And so we're on holiday right now from school, and I start back like this in a few days, like 2 or 3 days. Been out for about 2 weeks now, and this is what I've been doing. I don't know if you can see this notebook is almost completely just filled up with kanji. I have almost learned 1,000 new vocabulary words in about the span of 10 days. So I've been using this to be a hermit, and I've grown my study beard because I have not went out really anywhere, and I've just focused on getting 1,000 new vocabulary words. So I'd write them first and then get them input after I thought I knew them pretty well that way. Then I'd throw them into my computer program, so to keep up my study that way, because I carry it around on my phone and I can study. So anyway, back to beer. Or alcohol in Japan. Hold on. I really like this. It's their seasonal type of beer. But anyway, so alcohol in Japan. Back in the States, I was not a big drinker. I'm still not a big drinker. But, I'd go out, every other weekend or so, or I'd have a beer if a friend came over and wanted to have one type ordeal. And that was about it. Here, I drink a little bit more because the society here is just a little bit more open to it, or a lot more open to it. And it's really interesting, and just to see it, the difference here. Basically, the biggest difference is drinking here, there's no negative stigma to it, almost at all. It's almost completely seen as just a enjoyable thing you do with friends and co-workers especially. And so it's really unique to see. There's even vending machines in Japan out on the street that are beer vending machines. You can just go up and get your beer, and cigarette vending machines as well. So because of that, I think it's actually a way better way to approach it. So because of that, they actually, I don't think, have any real issues with the whole underage drinking. Sure, kids do it, but it's not made into this cool thing, this like forbidden, like, oh, that's the cool thing adults do, it's off limits. I mean, they do have a drinking age in Japan, but like official legal drinking age. But because of things like beer vending machines and whatnot, and I've never been carded or heard of anybody being carded, and I have younger people in my class, in my language class, and nobody's ever been ID'd or even questioned at all for getting beer, because it's just not seen as a bad thing. So there's no incentive to do it to be cool, I don't think, or as much incentive to do it as to be cool as it is, I think, back in the States with kids. Another thing with it is also that you can drink anywhere. Like, you can grab a beer and be drinking out in the street in Japan, and that's completely fine. It's a little taboo in Japanese culture to like walk and do anything with like food or drink. Like if you're walking while drinking, like a little bit on the impolite side. When it gets late in the night, I don't think really anybody cares. But if you're just walking on the street in the middle of the day, throwing back a beer, a little bit impolite. Or same thing with eating. You usually need to like stand, when you eat, not really move. But so that's interesting. But on the opposite end of that is that they have absolutely zero tolerance for driving. while intoxicated. And I mean zero, as in your blood alcohol, anything above a blood alcohol content level or a BAC or BAC of 0.000 is illegal. You are screwed. Like, so any alcohol content at all, if it shows up on the breathalyzer, essentially that's it. And it is not a fun penalty from my reading, which is good. So it's a huge, big deal. Do not drink and drive. Yeah, also in Japan, I guess that kind of goes into, that's not really an issue, consider the train system is amazing here. And you have no reason to have a car, especially if you're single, in the inner part of the city. And only a small reason maybe if you're towards the outer edge of the metropolis. And so there's no reason for anyone to ever drink and drive here, so you don't have those issues with that. So there's no, so that's great. Because back in the States, we all know, like, there's bars, and there's all these people having to drive to them. And, I mean, it's this huge kind of little moral issue that, like, that majority of these people are going home under the influence. Like, there's not an equal, people just know there's not an equal number of designated drivers for every person that's out on the weekend, But here, there is no issue with that. So it's like, you can go out, and you're not having to, like, who's the designated driver tonight, or any of that, or, like, oh, your friend's got drunk, and maybe he wants to drive, and, people being worried, and all this. It's like, that doesn't exist. Get on the train. You can be drunk. You can walk home. That's public intoxication pretty much doesn't exist here. You'd have to, like, walk up and, like, punch a policeman in the face. And that's also another very interesting thing here is that people pretty much don't act like asshats. That's the best way I can put it when they drink. I have not seen. I don't think I've seen any violent encounter at all. Physical violence. Yeah, I have not seen any since I've been here. Maybe seen some dudes yelling a little bit. Maybe. I'm not even sure it was anger. So I don't really know what that. That's Japanese culture. The politeness even while they're drinking, pretty much. So that's nice. So you go out, and people aren't wanting to, like, fight each other, it seems like, when they, drink. And the Japanese actually have most East Asians, a lot of them have, they don't process, I believe, alcohol quite as well due to some, like, enzyme in the liver, I believe it is. It doesn't allow them to process alcohol as fast. So they actually get drunker, or more drunk. They get drunk faster, or a certain percentage of East Asians don't have this at a higher percentage than do, like, Caucasians, which most don't have that lack of that enzyme. I think that's how it goes. But anyway, so people pretty much act better about it because it's not supposed to be a big deal. It's just part of the culture here. And so if you're in Tokyo, pretty much past maybe like 9 o'clock on a weeknight, on any night actually, if you're out, it really seems like half the people walking around might be drunk. Businessmen, salary women as well, or office ladies as they're called. It might not be the polite term now. I forgot. Excuse any office ladies out there. So yeah. And then the other interesting thing, let me take another sip, is that Japanese beer, while it's more expensive than American beer, is actually, on average, far more potent. I've looked it up, and because I thought after would like drink a beer, and I'm like, what is the deal? Like, am I just that weak? Because I'm not like I said, I'm a big drinker. But I was like, man, I feel a little bit like, 2 beers, a little bit more, lightheaded than usual. So I looked it up, and because I couldn't remember what alcohol content on beers was back in America. But anyway, like a Bud, Coors Light, Miller Lite, the typical, most popular type of beer, just average off your convenience store, gas station shelf beer that people grab, are like 4.2 alcohol or percent alcohol per volume. Whereas the Japanese equivalent of those beer, like their most popular, like Asahi, like Super Dry, and Kirin, just the lagers, and that's like their two. It's Asahi and Kirin are the two major brands that kind of like the, I guess, Budweiser and Miller or something in America. And they're off the shelf beers. They are at around a 25. They have about 25% more alcohol content per volume. They're at 5% alcohol, or a little above 5, whereas the American are typically around 4.2. But then, and that's just the base ones, and the neat, like this one though, this is Keating, just its what's that? Akiaji? I think that's Akiaji. That's literally probably autumn flavor is what that should say. If hope I'm reading the kanji correctly. And it's 6%, so that gives it almost 50% more alcohol per volume than like, and this is like from the convenience store, just off the shelf canned beer. Yeah, it's almost like 50% more per volume. Because 4% to 6%. That's 4.2 to 6%, a little bit less, like 45% more. So yeah, so maybe more expensive, but more potent. I wouldn't say more potent for the dollar. I'd have to calculate that out, what you're getting alcohol content per dollar. But so I guess something to think about. And people just say like one's more expensive than the other, depending on what you want. In terms of fluid amount, more expensive, but maybe in terms of alcohol content, maybe not that much more expensive. So, but anyway, so I thought that's maybe something interesting to talk about. And I like Japanese beer. Like, at least I'm not a beer connoisseur. I don't claim to know much about beer. My favorite beer in the States was Guinness, which is really dark beer. But compared to I think the normal American beers, I think most people are consensus that Japanese, kind of the light beer equivalent type stuff, is superior to a lot of the American beers. I mean, Japanese beer is not like, I don't compare probably to German or Belgian beers or anything like that. But honestly, I don't really know. But for the good old like cheap canned stuff, I think they're generally considered a little better. And they seem the same to me. I'm not really trying to say I notice a difference. I do like this. I can tell a difference in this one. I do like this autumn flavor. Oh, and that's something I can talk about real quick. I got a minute left. Japan, as I've seen, I got here like basically late summer. Now it's almost been 4 months. Isn't that crazy? Seems to be much more seasonal with everything. Excuse me. Wipe my nose. Like seasons is a big thing here, and they really recognize them, and like food types change, and like what you should eat or what's like more popular to do. So this like just came on the shelf. This like a few months ago actually, like right after I got here when it started getting cold, this started popping up. And also the vending machines, like the stuff changes out to the fall type flavor stuff, and you actually have the vending machines here. You can have hot drinks in the vending machines, like out on the street, and they changed to hot. Like during the summer, it was all cold. All the buttons were blue. Excuse me. But now that winter's come around, or like half the buttons are red, and they're heated drinks. You can get hot coffee like right out of just about any vending machine in here. And yeah, so you see a lot of push for that. Even like with TV ads, you see them like, oh, it's the autumn flavor, and they change things up. So that's pretty interesting, pretty cool, I guess, to get a change of things based on the seasons, in terms of taste and flavors. So I guess I'll see more, because I hadn't been here for all the seasons yet. But we'll see how it goes. But pretty interesting so far. All right, I guess that'll be it for now. Bye bye.